I have the privilege to invite our guest speaker today, Brett Ullman. But I'll just do a quick introduction for him. I'm sure he'll introduce himself as well. He is a speaker and author who travels North America speaking to teens, young adults, leaders and parents on topics including sexuality, mental health, men, dating, and media. He's a husband to John and the father of Bennett and Zoe. Brett and his family make their home in Ajax, Ontario, where Brett also leads and directs Worlds Apart, a charity focused on empowering individuals to realign their lives with biblical core values often muddled by media, but central to Christian living. So why don't we join our hands together? Let's give a warm RSCC welcome to Brett.
I know every speaker always says I'm glad to be here, but I really am. Yesterday morning, I woke up in Calgary, and if you've been following the news, I had a WestJet flight home. 275 cancellations. I was on the only flight to Toronto with crew. So pilots and so I'm really happy to be here. We didn't know if we'd make it back. I'm really glad to be back. This is a church that I've been speaking at for as long as I can remember. Homing had me in years and years ago with youth, and I was here a few months ago speaking on dating back with the youth. But my name's Brett. I come from Ajax. My background is education. I'm a trained high school phys ed chemistry biology teacher, but I spent most of my career teaching in the Melbourne community of Scarborough, if you know Scarborough, and I taught mostly Rotary science to grade 7s and 8s, and I left that 19 years ago, and I've been a full-time speaker up until then, and COVID changed things for many of us. And so with the advent more and more of online courses and things, I have my materials on things like Right Now Media, so I'm doing less speaking. I'm down to about 80 or 90 dates, which still seems like a lot. But I went back and took my master's in psychotherapy, and I'm doing counseling half-time and doing this half-time, and that's kind of where I'm at currently. I'm married with 2 kids. My wife's name is Dawn. She's a nurse in the Markham area. And my daughter Zoe's actually who I was visiting. Zoe just graduated with a philosophy degree from McMaster. She's hoping to go into law a year from now. And she's working, if you've ever been to Banff, at the Banff Fairmont Springs Hotel, which is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. My son Ben is currently up at Camp Minneoe. He's director of junior camp for the summer, and he's just finished his 3rd year at Queen's, going into his 4th, and he wants to be a psychologist. Our favorite family member, though, is actually Phoebe. Phoebe is our English bulldog who is just awesome in every area. I'm a speaker who speaks on many different things. Parenting is one of my main things. Mental health, and if you're wondering, why is he sitting? It's because I've been on a 12-year journey. I left teaching. I did a program called the Arrow Leadership Program, and then took a master's of evangelism and leadership at a school called Wheaton down in Chicago, but then needed to pay for it. And so I was then speaking 275 to 300 speaking dates a year to pay for it. Graduated and then had a breakdown. And a breakdown's not a medical term, but one most of us know. All I know is I went from functioning to suddenly not leaving my house. And for 1 year, I didn't work. For 5 months, I actually physically didn't leave my home. Anxiety, panic, depression. There's irony in that I've always spoken on mental health, but mental health became my journey. It's 13 years later, and I'm still unwell. I still don't sleep. This is my Oura ring. This tells me each night how little sleep I get. Last night was 4 minutes of deep sleep, and if you know sleep, that's just not enough. And so for me, and I know we're not Catholic, but Pope Francis once said, recovery is making a life despite limitations. And I've learned for me, if I sit, my body is a bit calmer. I don't really know why. This morning, I want to do a very quick conversation on mental health, and I want to look at it from 3 perspectives. The first is from perspective of you. How are you doing in this conversation? 2, how do we care for the people we love and support? And maybe we have a quick conversation on the idea of prevention as well. There's kind of 2 quotes that I'll bookend the entire talk with. One is Maya Angelou, who once said, do the best you can until you know better, and when you know better, do better. I expect all of us want to do the best we can in this conversation of mental health. Number 2 is he's a futurist. It's an interesting job. His name's Alvin Tollefson, and he says this: the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who can't read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And I do think we need an unlearning of where we're at with mental health. I wonder where we all sit today, because here's what I hear, not only as a therapist, but as someone who travels and speaks. I hear so often, Brett, the church has hurt me way more than it's helped me. And that's not okay. And by the way, these are easily fixable conversations, but it actually means having these conversations. So for me, I went from functioning to, and this is the best image I've ever found of my journey. It was a million roads in a million directions. I'm at home, I suddenly am trapped. I'm getting panic attacks as I leave my home. And in would come friends and family, Christian leaders, and they'd sit in front of me. Think of Job's friends. They'd sit in front of me on a couch and they would say, "Hey, Brett, have you tried?" And then just put a line and put in any word you can think. They'd come in and say, "Hey, Brett, have you tried Jesus?" And I would say, "What do you mean by that?" And they're like, Jesus. And I'm like, "What? It sounds like you're asking me, like, what does that mean?" It's like I haven't taken enough of him. And then they would leave and I would then sometimes cry and say, "Jesus, have I not tried you enough? Like, what does that mean? Do I feel better in that moment or worse?" The next person would say, "Have you tried vitamin D?" And the next person would say, "Have you tried running?" And I'd say, "I haven't left the house in 5 months." I'm like, "But have you tried running?" And you can see how I call it whack-a-mole. Have you ever been to like a fair and the little mole pops up and like a 10-year-old boy will pound it down with a mallet? It's sometimes how we feel. It takes everything in us to share what's going on and we feel like we're kind of whack-a-moled down. So today I want to simplify this. I really love this quote by Stephen Grekovich. Now, every book that I suggest you ever read is on off my website, brettallman.com. My Amazon A is right at the top with all my social media, and in the mental health section are these books. Herein lies one of the most pervasive misunderstanding regarding mental illness. It's that God spares this kind of pain and suffering from those with deep and abiding faith. I am not unwell because I don't have a deep and abiding faith in Jesus. I'm just unwell. It's okay to not be okay. I think sometimes we attribute a lot of religious things onto our just being unwell. Henry Cloud, author, once said, "If you're filled with the Spirit, you will always be happy, in no pain or have any struggles." He paused and then said, "Well, that can't be farther from the truth." We're Christians and we live in a fallen world, and there's things that we will all deal with. But if we don't understand mental illness, we then don't respond accordingly. Mental illness is a staggeringly complex conversation. I think the new evil, as we kind of call it, is technology, right? Every day now it's phones. Phones are the issue. Now, phones are a big issue, and I would say statistically it might be 30 or 40% of our struggles, but it's not all of it. Some people have a predisposition to mental illness. For some, it's traumatic events, experiencing homelessness, abandonment, neglect, war, PTSD. And then we have people like me, burnout, breakdown. Maybe for some of us, it's isolation and loneliness. Loneliness is now 57% of all elementary, secondary, and university college-age students. And for us as adults, men, if you're my age, I'm 53, men 40 through 60 are the loneliest people in the world. Chronic unwellness, substance use, social media and dopamine, relentless pressure and the stress we have. We don't eat well. We don't sleep much. Postpartum, many women after having a child struggle, concussions, and how you're parented. Parents, the more we overfunction, the more we create underfunctioning students. And this is what we see today all across North America. All these things, this is kind of a side note from another talk I do on media. The way we parent have become fear-based parents. And when we're scared parents, we create scared children. We've gone from 96% of students getting their license by the time they're 18 to, most recently, 42% in just 15, 20 years. Like, this is a staggering statistic. Young people, many don't work anymore. Religious affiliations down. Dating's down. People don't go out anymore. There's changes that are affecting us. And overfunctioning is up. Screen time is up. Fear is up. Purposelessness up. And many other things. My point's just, this is complex. And we can't give easy answers if we don't really know what we're going through. So let me just give some easy kind of conversations here. First, this is kind of some amusing comics. The first one, it looks kind of weird. Person's throwing up in a toilet, but the person says, "Have you tried, not having the flu?" Said no one ever to somebody with the flu. Said to every person who has anxiety. Have you tried, not being anxious? If we could think our way out of this, we would have. No one wants this. And the last one, again, a weird image. It's a person giving themselves an insulin shot for diabetes. I don't think it's healthy you have to take medication every day just to feel normal. Don't you worry it's changing you from who you really are. Said no one ever for diabetes medication. Said no one ever to people taking heart medication. Said to every person who ever takes medications. Now, let me be honest. I hope none of us have to take medications. I do believe we way too quickly head down that pathway. They're not for everyone. Everyone also doesn't get helped by them. Maybe we just start with a place of we all have the freedom to move forward at looking at getting better. It's interesting, though, because this is one of the biggest questions people say. Brett, I love Jesus. What about medication? Again, no one's ever said that for other things. I've been very fortunate in my journey. I've been at a clinic which is functional medicine, doctors, naturopaths, so MDs and NDs working alongside each other. And in my journey, tons of blood work taken, tons of hypotheses given, and one of the ones 5 years ago, I got diagnosed with Lyme disease. So I had to go on, I don't know if anyone knows Lyme disease. I have no idea when I was bitten by a tick, but suddenly I have a doctor in New York City, and I'm going on high levels of medications. And so I posted online, hey, I'd love your prayers. I'm going on meds. I don't like meds. It's high-level anti-malarials and antibiotics. And so people posted from all over the world. It was really fortunate. Praying for you, supporting you. 12 years ago, when I went on medications for my anxiety, I posted the exact same message online. I'd love your prayers. And many of the same people posted praying for you, but what no one saw were the private messages. Dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people wrote me and said privately, if you take a medication for this, you're not a Christian anymore. Like, just sit on that for a second. Talk about the well telling the unwell. Like, there's no response to that when you're unwell. You just feel like you've been whack-a-moled. And somehow medications, we've now brought it up to we now believe in the Trinity, the resurrection, and not taking medications is like top tier conversations in this. From asthma to sleeping pills, no one really cares. What I mean by that is if you have asthma, you take your blue Ventolin inhaler. You take 2 puffs when you need it. If you need to take medications for something you're journeying with, you do, whether it's diabetes. My father had to take medications for his heart. We do those things. But the moment we hit depression and anti-anxiety medications, we're kind of all or none conversations. Now, there is modern kind of science with this. Inagene.com will do a DNA test on you and tell you which meds might work. They don't know, or these ones don't. So how do you know if someone's struggling? Because I struggle in here, and I struggle in here. I can't look around and go, well, you're good, you're not, you're good. Like, that's not how it is. Well, here's just some easy signs. Number 1, changes in eating or sleeping patterns. Now, COVID was kind of fascinating for this because for students were staying up later. Like, my kids were university students through COVID, and so both of them, their classes they could do whenever they wanted. So they would be up till midnight, 1 a.m, and sleep in a lot, and people would say, oh, they must be unwell. And it's like, no, it's probably a very normal circadian rhythm for a young person. It was always people my age who were like, look how late they're staying up. And it's like, yes, I'm 53. At 9:30, I'm yawning and I'm heading upstairs. Also normal, as I see lots of smiles around for people my age. So could it be an issue? Yes, most likely, no. Social isolation, yeah. Who could be here and is not? Who are the people who are in your small groups, the friends and family who are just not around much anymore? How about mood changes? You feel lots of big feelings. Can I encourage you as a side note, feel your feelings. Don't just automatically pull out your phone and scroll and try to distract yourself from what's going on. It's okay to feel and understand what you're feeling and walk through those things. But every one of us has these kinds of feelings. It doesn't mean that you're going through things, but if this is all you're feeling, maybe you're struggling. Now we know you're not okay, can't function. Maybe you have a greater apathy, a loss of desire to do things. There is, and this is something sometimes we don't recognize, is that just because we're Christians, we have lots of people journeying things in our church. Struggles with pornography, addictions, alcohol, the list goes on. How about feeling just worthless? People who self-deprecate themselves. If you have friends and family who say, I'm so stupid, I'm so worthless, this is where our spidey senses, you kind of go, something's maybe happening here. Sudden drop in grades doesn't mean you got rocked by an exam, which is going to happen to everyone who's in school. Here's the biggest one, though. There's no signs. And this is why I think we need really good quality friendships where we share things, where we're open to share and people are open to listening. I always say, ask people how they're doing twice. You ever done, like even this morning, people walk in, hey, how you doing? Good, good. You? Good. And we pass each other. How about, how you really doing? Ask it a second time. And many times people then say, well, let me tell you about my week. Let me tell you about my relationships, my health, my other things. That's why I love the idea of just check-ins. How are you feeling today? So I'm really big on first steps. Like, what is the first move, kind of like in chess? Not wishful thinking or avoidance, but what do we actually do? And this is chaos. Because each of you comes from a history and a story and a background. And yeah, vitamin D is a great answer. So is Jesus, and so is running. But just because it worked for family or friends or you doesn't mean it will work for someone else, because we don't know what's actually going on till we get assessed right. But I love the analogy of body, mind, and soul, because it's a holistic view of us as faith-based people, right? We are physical beings, emotional beings, and we're spiritual beings. This has been the mandate of every church I've ever attended. I've been at a church called Sanctus for the last 22 years or so, and this is our kind of motto, meeting the emotional, physical, and spiritual needs of our community. So I love body. I'm a kinesiology major by trade, so I think the body is very important. I look at the physical things. I mean, the Bible's filled with these things. The idea of running the good race, your body is the temple. And I think a family doctor is a good place to start. The mind is another one. Maybe talk to a therapist or someone and walk through these things. And your issue might be physical, your issue might be emotional. Here's where language matters. I don't say your issue might be spiritual, because the answer to mental illness is unbelievably and incredibly rare that the answer would be your faith in Jesus. But my faith in Jesus is the bedrock of my life, which I base everything off of, whether I get better or I do not, meaning God is with us in these journeys. We're not promised a great life in this life, right? We're in the now, but the not yet. Have you ever heard that kind of terminology before? We're not yet, we're still in this fallen place where things happen to us. And so I love this. And it's not Jesus or something. It's maybe all of these things together. And I love this idea. Your body, the faith is kind of like a toolbox. Sometimes we call this the law of the instrument. Have you ever heard if all you have in your hand is a hammer, everything looks like a nail? And so if all we have is theological kind of constructs of mental illness, then all we have is theological answers. And I would say the toolbox is your faith. And in the toolbox goes tools, things that we can do. And I would say grow our toolbox, grow our faith, and then grow the tools. And then no matter where you come from, we all fit into this conversation. Let's look at this a little bit deeper. Now, this is my journey. It might be yours. Probably won't be. I've had a physical done when I started with my family doctor. I've had blood work taken many, many times. Sleep specialist. Anybody been to a sleep specialist? Anyone willing to raise your hand in church? A few people. If you've never been to a sleep specialist, you go to, usually it's like a strip mall, like there's a Subway, and then you walk through the door beside it, and they tell you to bring your pajamas and your pillow, and it's weird, and they stick electrodes all over you. And then the last time I went, the guy said, okay, I'll be watching you in that camera. Good night. And he leaves, and it's like, that's creepy on so many levels. First time I went, I said to the doctor in the morning, can you fix me? And he said, no. And I looked down, a little discouraged, and he said, no, look at me. He says, that's good. You don't want a sleep issue. My issue is actually considered fragmented sleep, meaning sleep is the consequence to whatever's happening physically within me. He said, in your list of all the things it could be, tick it off or scratch off that and look at other things. A friend of mine in Alberta has a similar thing as me, a bit of a breakdown. His pastoral staff said to him, and this is from the lead pastor, you will not take medications, you will not go to a doctor, you will not go to a sleep clinic. Your issue is spiritual. First off, I call that religious abuse, and it's not okay. 5 months in, he calls me. He's now suicidal. He's a father of multiple kids. He just said, I can't function. I said, what's your biggest issue? He said, sleep. If you struggle with sleep, sleep is the cornerstone, right? Like, waking up rested is a hard thing for some of us. And I just said, go, there's nothing spiritual about a sleep clinic. Just go. So he goes. In the morning, I said, look at the doctor and say, can you fix me? He said to the doctor, can you fix me? The doctor said, yeah, you have the worst sleep apnea I've ever seen in my career. He put them, I call them Darth Vader machines, BiPAP, CPAP machines. One night later, he said he's better. Now he's not, but like, if you haven't slept and you suddenly sleep. Medicine. I'm not currently on medication, even though I do keep something called Ativan with me. If I'm about to come on stage and my body's going to have a panic attack, I take a little pill which just calms me down. Not things I want to be on, but if I need it, I'm okay with that. The list goes on of all these things. Allergists, nutritionists, some of these things are just natural consequences to our unsustainable life. You can't work 90 hours a week and have something not break. Your marriage, your faith, your body, many, many other things. And the big three, exercise, sleep, food, the list goes on. Exercise, this is a non-negotiable for us. If you're not doing well, we exercise every day. You might say, well, what? I don't care, whatever you do. I like to bike, I do spin classes, I lift weights, I swim. What works for you? Walking is one of the easiest, and I think we can stack stuff. Walk with a spouse, with family, with friends, be outside, you get sunlight, you're in nature. Sleep, I have a YouTube video on sleep hygiene. Cool room. There's a kinesiologist online named Andrew Huberman. He says 10 hours before bed, no caffeine, 3 hours before bed, no food, 2 hours before bed, no liquids, 1 hour before bed, no blue screens. That's the hardest for most of us. Now, everyone is not vulnerable to that. Most of us are, though. It's very rare that there's people who don't have that vulnerability, but maybe read 15, half an hour before you go to bed, a physical book, and see if it's affecting your sleep. And lastly, food. Food is often the culprit or the cure of what's going on. Food is powerful. They took grade 4 kids and all with anxiety, and all they did was increase their diversity of foods, and they found diversity of foods is a weird statement, by the way, increased like colors of peppers and other vegetables, and they found a 40% decrease in anxiety. So do this. Work on your body. The physical analogies, again, are throughout Scripture. And the mind, Romans, the renewing of your mind. Gain different perspectives and framework of what's going on. Deal with emotions. And if you like these discussions, by the way, there's a group called Lifeway Research in the U.S. that kind of talks about Christianity and psychology and science and good debates on all of those things. And I just say, can we normalize counseling? I don't think people need to be in counseling forever, but it's good to have someone. Parents, I always say, our kids need 5 other adults speaking truth into their lives. So my 2 kids, I want other pastors and leaders and aunts, uncles, and adults and coaches and counselors and teachers speaking into them beyond just me. And not last, but the foundation is my faith. And I put a little bar over spiritual disciplines. Read, pray, study, volunteer, give, all the things that we do, those spiritual practices that become the bedrock of our lives. Our circumstances will never alter the character of God. God is God, and we are not. How about in these moments, say, God, teach me something in this season. When I'm in a Christian environment, I can say this, but when I'm in a mainstream environment, I use these. Because someone might still say, if they don't know Jesus, I went for a walk and it was good for my spirit, but these still are good things for us as Christians. Our well-being, our purpose, our volunteering. There's something about volunteering where we get to know people. I love when I come in this morning at 8:30 and the church is abuzz with people and people are setting up and worship teams are practicing and there's something great about that. Gratitude. Every day do something called 3 good things. When you wake up or when you go to bed, what are 3 good things I'm thankful to God for today? We spend way too much time looking at the negative and so few time looking at the good things happening in life. Have good relationships and friendships, and have in-person relationships and friendships. Be together more. And mindfulness is just breathing. There are apps like Dwell and others that come from, they're like meditating on Jesus and stuff, but there's other apps that like Calm and Headspace that I use just for, if you're anxious, you're breathing with your upper chest and not your belly, and these are apps that just calm you down. And the spoons analogy is a fascinating one. It just means if you only have so many spoons to give in the day because you're not well, give your spoons to the things that matter. In the TV series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they say the steps you take don't need to be big. They just need to take you in the right direction. And the last main section is just faith. Do we trust God is who he says he is? Which is really simply this. No matter what you go through, God is there. Even if you don't feel him. It's interesting. We say we have a faith in God, but then when we don't feel God, we say, like, faith is faith in the unseen and the unknown. I read a book once which was really powerful. Richard Winter says there's 5 reasons we suffer. He says the first 3 are the big ones, but you got to address the last 2. Number 1, Genesis 3. We're caught up in a fallen world and we're deeply affected by it. I had a board member a number of years ago die of a heart attack at 41. We're caught up in a fallen world and things happen. Each of you can tell me stories of things that have happened. Number 2, we live with the effects of others' sins. I think it's 19 years ago now, one of my best friends was killed by a drunk driver. And forever we have all, his wife, his family, us as friends have dealt with that loss. Someone made a decision and we've had to live with that. Number 3 is our own sinful nature. I worked too hard for too long. Everyone told me to slow down and I said, I'll be fine. I was wrong. And I wish I could go back and do it again. Now, there's a fallacy in my thinking. I probably might have had a breakdown no matter what I was doing. I still would like to be able to go back and check it out. Number 4, I grew up Baptist. I grew up in an environment where we never talked about Ephesians 6:12, and there's a spiritual realm. I do not believe everything mental illness-wise is a spiritual conversation. If you want to begin a good conversation on that, there's a book called The Bondage Breaker by Neil Anderson. I said Neil Armstrong once. It cannot get out of my head. Neil Armstrong, Moon, Neil Anderson, book. And the last one is, and this is where he really brings this out in this book. Like, there's verses. God tests his people, prophets. God tests his prophets and people to know what's in their hearts. It's good for me to be afflicted so that I might know your decrees. Now, I'm not saying anyone gets mental illness from these things, but he just says we need to address that there are verses in the Bible that say those things. And I love this. Just very simply, God, I don't know what's going on, but I just trust you'll be with me. And you can Google Thomas Merton's Prayer of Abandonment later. And the Beyond Suffering Bible is a topical Bible that you can see. It's actually, I don't know if anyone remembers the name Joni Eareckson Tada. And it's the whole Bible with stories around suffering around the whole thing. So I want to give you 2 slides. These are the things that people often said to me, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but this is what people often said. And I'm going to give you the next slide after that of the things we should say. This is what people often said. People would say to me, well, everything happens for a reason. And I would always then say, what reason? And they would say, I don't know, and they would walk away. I actually believe everything happens for a reason is less Christianity, and it's actually more Islamic. This is more what we call determinism. If this, then that. And can I just say, like, if the goal is to help people, if you say everything happens for a reason, and they say, what reason? And you say, I don't know, and they leave, have you helped them, or maybe little whack-a-mole hurt them? Saying don't be anxious about anything. The biblical word anxious isn't our modern anxiety. It's more the word worry. But even some of us are worriers. Just saying don't be doesn't really help people. If you need any help, let me know. Mental illness is a non-casserole illness, says one author, meaning don't say if you want to go for a coffee, let me know. Say, I'd love to bring you a coffee or take you out for coffee this week. What works for you? God won't give you more than you can handle is not in the Bible. God won't tempt you more than you can handle is in the Bible. We can't just change this. 2 Corinthians 1, 8-11, Paul and his companions say we were so utterly burdened beyond our strength that we despaired of life itself. Paraphrase, we have way more than we can handle. When myself and you have more than we can handle, we lean back on a God who is with us in the journey. And well, at least you don't have something else or snap out of it. None of these to me are helpful. Here's what is helpful. How are you today? The word today I can handle. The bottom one, say something, say anything. Just for those of you who journey like I do, many people never address my journey with me. It's okay just to say, how are you doing with your journey? My favorite is my friend who says, give me 5 minutes. Give him a hug, ask first. Someone just randomly gave someone a hug once. It wasn't really what I was saying, but the people you love, and it's okay. Sit with them. Ask, how is your struggle going? And the bottom, you're like, shawarma is healing? Yes. Darkest day of my life, somebody brought me my favorite food in the world, which is a chicken shawarma. There's a place in Ajax called Pita Delights. If you've never been, they're Christians from Nazareth. When I walk in, they call me Brother Brett, and I just feel at home. Did it fix anything? No, but there's something about food. You know what I miss most from my Baptist roots? Potluck Wednesdays, where we would all bring in food and we would all eat together and talk and hang out. And all I'm saying with this is, if someone loves something, bring them that something. 2 Corinthians 1:3 comforts us in all our troubles. Why? So that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Some resources and we're done. I did this during COVID. I have 20 videos on COVID and mental health, and the truth is they're just really mental health. Video after video on my YouTube channel, just these, they're short, 1 minute plus videos, that's it. Some thoughts and we're done. Dr. Dan Siegel says we need to help children, and I would say we need to help everyone understand that the clouds of our emotions can and will roll on by. You may not be well today. Tomorrow might be different. And if one door is not working, choose another. If anything you're doing isn't working, choose another. Medication, counselor, exercise. There's a musician named Bruce Coburn from many years ago who used to sing to kick at the darkness till it bleeds daylight. And so my challenge to you is this is a fight. This is a battle. And so fight these conversations. And as Winston Churchill once said, never, never give up. This is where we become the body of Christ. When people are journeying, we surround you, we love you, we support you. I have 1,500 links on my website. I'm a collector. I find the best information on the planet on all the different conversations that I have. Most recently, counseling resources in marriage I've added onto the bottom. I have a new talk on marriage. I'm going to be speaking just next month. But mental health, if you click on blog and mental health, 8-10 years worth of content is all online. At the very top is all my social media. And I would encourage you, follow people on social media. Right? You want your social media filled with content that's going to bring you good things. And my Amazon shop is filled with books. My YouTube channel is filled with videos. I do have 2 different courses on parenting and men on my Right Now Media platform, which does your church have Right Now Media? You do? On Right Now Media, and also on my YouTube channel. And all my other talks are there. And I'm always just really big on giving you some great books. And my own book is a massive handbook on it's like 7 chapters on parenting, but 9 chapters on every other conversation. But mental health is the largest. And the last 9 chapters are not just for parents, they're for actually anyone. And it's on Kindle, and it's also an audiobook as well. 2 slides and we're done. My counselor once said to me years ago, great courage with great care. I love this. Great courage. Some of you get up in the morning and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do today. And I'd say, it's okay. Get up, do what you need to do. Go to work, go to school, go to church, do those things that matter. And then when you've done those hard things, then do the things that fill you up, whatever that might be. I love the ideas of body, mind, and soul. I love it because we can all do it. And no matter where you're at, you can begin journeying down these pathways of looking for hope and healing and wholeness in this conversation of mental health. If you want to chat after, I'll be out at my booth. I also answer all my own emails and other things. Let me just close in prayer and we'll go from there. Father, we just thank you for a moment where we can just look at how we connect our faith with these conversations of things like mental health and mental illness. Father, in all the overwhelmingness of all these journeys, we just ask for peace. And in all the complexities, God, we just ask for wisdom, and we just ask that people are brought into their lives who can help us journey these things. And most of all, God, we recognize that you are with us no matter what we are going through. And we just ask for the wisdom and grace and mercy as we go through these journeys. We ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you.